being able to go to one source that has a lot of our data or most of our data around supply chain and ask it a question, right? Not have to do the analysis myself, but be able to say, tell me about what's going on with my order patterns with my vendors and when should I be placing reorders? What is the right minimum stock level I should be keeping based on historical data and current lead times and current actual performance from those suppliers? My name is Kunal Gupta. I'm the CEO of Nutra-Med Packaging. We are a pharmaceutical contract packager focusing on oral solid dosage forms. We service approximately 150 to 200 customers across the pharmaceutical supply chain, and we are located in northern New Jersey across about 350,000 square feet with 1,000 employees. For us as a contract packager, it really is about finding the right stakeholder and the right champion to drive this forward. There's a clear sense of this is valuable, we want to do this. But finding the right ownership and the person who's going to championship and drive it through an organization has been actually our biggest challenge. There's acceptance that we need to continue to evolve our business and our industry. There's acceptance that digitization will help us be more efficient, but finding the right person to drive that and to own it has been one of our biggest challenges. So how do you tackle that? Well, for us, it's really been a question of persistence. You start with the person who showed initial interest, and then you go deeper from there. Okay, how do we execute? Let's meet about it. Who do you need to involve? And we prompt them. Do we bring in the IT stakeholders? Do we bring in the supply chain stakeholders? Do we need to bring in finance? But who are the vested interest parties, the parties with vested interest rather, that want to make this happen? It's very easy on my company's end. It's myself and my CFO. But finding that counterparty has been a bit of a challenge. So we're persistent and we continue to just go after it and find the right person who the message resonates with and help them to assemble their team to execute. So the greatest value in our industry for manufacturers, CMO, and CPOs to drive value in this industry through digitization, for me, lies in automating some of the mundane, repetitive tasks that we already do. For example, we are going into email, grabbing a PO PDF, taking that PO PDF and putting it into a folder. Somebody else on my team then goes into that folder, grabs the PDF, manually enters the data into NetSuite. What a waste of time. All of that should be digitized and automated. And that's POs, that's invoices, that's inventory transactions, receipt, consumption, returns. There's so many of these simple processes that can be automated to free up time and resources and allow us to take on higher order tasks. There's a huge opportunity just in that low-hanging fruit. Then you can take it a step further. There are higher order functions, for example, supply chain planning. And when you think about the Mint platform, for example, with the AI that's being layered on top of it, you can now start having those conversations in a more autonomous way, saying, you have all this data, what should I be doing? Should I be ordering more components sooner? Today, with the simple information that goes into a digital supply chain, I take that, put it into a spreadsheet, and do the analysis myself. Tomorrow, I want to be asking Mint to do that analysis for me so I can focus on other tasks around how do I make my business relationship with my customers stronger? How do we drive value for both parties? We would like to automate these processes not only for us, but for our partners. In fact, it has to happen two ways. We can connect to platforms like Mint and start our digitization journey, but that's, I would say, 20% of the battle. The value really comes when it's two-way, right? We are a service provider, so we are nobody without our customers. In order to make this valuable to everybody, it has to be both ways. There has to be this trust established with our customers, not only our customers, but our partners as well, our vendor partners, because there's value from each relationship. So we want to have that to be able to exchange data both upstream and downstream to get full value out of these types of digitization integrations. Digitized serial numbers, ASNs, POs drive value for us, CMOs and CPOs, because it helps us to speed the velocity, or helps us to increase the velocity of transaction with our customers and our vendor partners. As soon as we've digitized, Things are happening seamlessly in the background in real time versus relying on asynchronous communication. Someone has to scan in that document, or someone has to type it into an email, someone has to click send. Then you're waiting for the other party to read that information and process that information or enter it into their ERP system. So the digitization cuts all of that out in the middle, makes it real time, and makes it instant. That's where the real value lies. For our peers in the industry, I always suggest to start small. Start with something that is easy to tackle, whether that's an ASN or a PO or an invoice, because your team needs those quick wins. Your team needs to feel like this can happen. I've seen this with one of our partners today that started with, we want everything. We want the POs, the invoices, the inventory, and everything in between. And they weren't able to execute. It's delayed, and people are losing steam, they're losing interest. It's becoming a second or third priority. So what I really recommend to our partners who are interested in this, start small, build your team, figure out who the stakeholders are, and after you have one win, then start expanding, going for that second, third, fourth win, because you'll see the benefits, and the benefits will snowball. But if you try to do it all at once, it becomes a challenge. So any company that continues to rely purely on manual processes, one of the risks they face is really just being leapfrogged by companies like ours. It's going to be very hard to scale. And you may run a very successful business. We've been manual and paper-based for 26 years. But I can see the future that if we don't change, if we don't evolve and digitize, we will be leapfrogged by others. You need this to be able to scale in today's environment. We live in a just-in-time world, and to do things paper-based at volume and scale isn't going to work. You're going to be left behind. And we see all of our customers wanting everything faster, right? They want it faster, they want it cheaper. And digitization is one of those ways we can achieve those goals. Mint and TraceLink network has this unique advantage of having all these types of data around serialization, supply chain data, which is perfect for AI. So for me, being able to go to one source that has a lot of our data or most of our data around supply chain and ask it a question, right? Not have to do the analysis myself, but be able to say, tell me about what's going on with my order patterns with my vendors and when should I be placing reorders? What is the right minimum stock level I should be keeping based on historical data and current lead times and current actual performance from those suppliers? Or even looking forward with customers. Customers give us forecasts. They're rarely accurate, but we can use historical data that is now hopefully within Mint to be able to draw those conclusions. And rather than me or my team having to analyze it, being able to rely and use those AI tools to say, hey, do the analysis for me. Tell me, what do you expect? What should we expect the forecast to be for the next 6 months so that we can plan forward on our raw materials and our production planning and all of our S&OP processes.